Now, I wasn't expecting to make a video about this, but I've got a priority repair to make here. This is my wife's shaver that she uses for shaving her legs, and it's a rechargeable unit, except for it's not taking a charge. When you plug it in, well, charging light does come on here, as you can see, and my meter shows it's drawing about 5 milliamps, which is a little bit encouraging because the power pack, the charging pack says it should draw about 8, so that's in the ballpark. This also shows that it's a 1.2 volt output to charge the thing at 70 milliamps, so it's not cooking the battery. That's good. But a 1.2 volt battery would suggest to me that it's a nickel metal hydride battery in there, so I may be able to replace it. But after being on charge for over 24 hours, it still doesn't show any signs of life, so I am fairly confident that the problem is the battery. Just to get some further clues, I went on the manufacturer's website. There's the model number of the shaver that I've got here, and just looked around at replacement parts available. And you can get a new charger, you can get new heads and stuff and brushes, but the battery is not an option. But I did a bit more searching around and found a manual for the thing, and it does say that it's got a nickel metal hydride battery, so that is excellent news. And then I found that there is a method in the manual for how to remove the battery. So if you can remove it, you can replace it, even though it says that it's not intended to be replaced by consumers, but that's okay. I'm not a normal consumer. Another page in the manual, it actually shows which screws to take out to get at the battery. Their intention for you to take the battery out is to recycle it separately. It's awful nice of them to give these instructions, because that shows me exactly how I need to get into it. 2 screws on the back that are hidden under little plugs, 2 screws on the face of it, that piece pops off, and there is the battery that their little spudger tool is pointing at. That should be fairly straightforward. At least I hope that it is fairly straightforward. The first step looks like popping these little rubber covers off to get at the screws, which appear to be tiny little Phillips recessed down in there. So far, this is looking pretty straightforward. That should just separate, I think, as it showed. Let's get in there and spudge that apart. Oh, what's that? That's moving. That shouldn't be moving. Okay, so that comes off. Oh, and that's just a little gasket in there. Okay, I can manage with that, I think. Actually, it comes right off. So I have to remember to put that back in there. And there is the other 2 screws that it talked about. Cool. Nice long screws in there. Solid bite into the plastic. That's good. That should come off. What's going on here? There we go. What is that? Was that the on? That's the on-off switch. Okay. Oh, so I'm going to have to get that back into there. I'm going to put it back together. Right. Pop that little piece off there. What is that? That's like a vent or something. Okay, so that didn't really gain me anything. Now I just have to figure out how to yoink this guy out without damaging anything. Let me work on this for a minute, and I'll get back to you with a solution once I find one. There's more screws down the bottom of these deep holes here. I couldn't see them in there, but I just got poking around, and I can feel them. Okay, so maybe that'll work now. Does that pull out? Okay, there's the one screw dropped out. What happens now if nothing happens if I push on those pins? Maybe I have to, I don't know. So there's those 2 screws out. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's pushed it a little bit further. Can I get under there? There we go. So what do we have for a battery? There's a single cell in there. Okay. There is the on-off switch. All right. One of the two charging pins is spring-loaded. That's kind of neat. So it disconnects it from the motor when you've got it on the charger. That's slick. Okay. But that's not what we're looking for. We are looking for this battery on this side here, which is kind of odd in that it's got one of the charging pins directly mounted to the battery, and the other pin just slots into there. Okay. And there's the battery, nickel metal hydride, 1100 milliamp hours. Okay. But it's really special with these two pieces on the ends of them. That's going to be challenging. What's not going to be challenging is the size of the battery. It is, for all intents and purposes, a AA battery. And I do have some brand new nickel metal hydrides here, which are 1100 milliamp hour. So those are electrically the right thing and physically the right shape, but what do we do about these little nubbins on there? Before we get too carried away, let's just connect it up to my power supply and see if it draws any current at all. Oh yeah, it's drawing about 50 milliamps. Okay. It's dropping off pretty quickly. I think I'm going to let that run for a little while and just see if it retains any charge after I've left it on directly on charge for about half an hour. After a very short period of time, it has settled down to 18-19 milliamps and is just staying there. And the voltage is under a volt, but when I shut off the power supply, it just absolutely craters. So yeah, that battery is definitely toast. Don't think there's any recovering it. But now we have to figure out if we can get those little nubbins off there and attach to a new battery. This end, the negative end, I'm going to assume is just spot welded on. So I think we can deal with that just by mechanically peeling it off. I'm not too worried about that. This end, however, the positive end, I'm not quite so sure. I think I may have to remove this, looks like shrink tubing or something from the outside of it first. I don't know, this is completely experimental. And the thing's not working now, and they tell me in the manual that it's not really repairable, so I don't feel too bad if I break it, but if I can fix it, I will be a hero. Oh, there we go. Pull that cap off. Oh yeah. There we have a little bit of corrosion and leakage, so that seals the deal that this battery is in fact toast. Not that that was any much of a surprise anyway. But then that little nubbin looks like it is also just spot welded on there. So maybe we can just get under the edges of it and pry it up. Although the positive end of this battery doesn't have the usual bump on it that your typical AA has like that. So we may have a little bit of difficulty getting this back in, but one problem at a time. Getting this off is going to be the challenge. I am under it, just barely. Can I lever it up? Well, there it's gone. But where's it gone to? Ah, there it is down there. Okay. So I guess I have to flatten back out these deformations that I made in order to install it on the new battery. That's not too bad. I guess I will do the same on the negative end. Just make a little bit of room to get my cutters under there. And this is very much not manufacturer approved. And I'm going to guess that there's at least one person in the comments that has some suggestion of something obvious that I'm missing here, but shit, where'd that go? Okay, found it. It was, you don't even want to know where it was. So now I just have to flatten this guy back out and hope that it doesn't launch into outer space again. And then we'll see if we can get on with welding this onto our replacement battery. Alright, let's crack into these and see if we can do this without causing too much damage. The other challenge, of course, as I mentioned, is going to be, will this be too long to fit back into this thing? Only one way to find out. So that goes there, just to be held. That'll go on there. I think I want to flatten it out just a little bit more. And maybe give that a little bit of a press just to kind of flatten it down so it's not domed. And hopefully we can weld that on there. Bring in the battery welder and turn it on. Now then, I don't know exactly how I am going to physically hold this and get the welder in there and get everything in place without it going completely kablooey here, but we will do what we can. I'm sure there's a jig or something that I could be using. Actually, hang on. So I think I'm ready to try this now. I've got my welder, my helping hands helping. And if I can get in here. Well, did that work? No. I'm going to spend some more time with this. We'll see if I can get this to stay in place. I'm not sure what I'm going to have to do, but yeah. I'll get back to you in a minute or two or six. Yeah, got a couple of successful welds. I'm going to do one more, and hopefully that is enough. So I've got it set to a little bit higher heat than I was initially doing, and I've got it set to do 3 pulses, and that pin is incredibly hot right now. So I'll just let that cool off and see how that is aligned. You might be able to see that there's a little bit of scorching from the heat or from carbon burn off or something, but it is holding. I think that's going to be good. Now, to put the other one on, and it again just goes on that end, this straight on weld. Let me rig something up to hold that and I'll come back. Okay, I think that will hold it in position. I'll put just a little dab of paste flux on there just to tack that in position. And then no, that didn't work very well, did it? Again, I'm going to keep trying here, and we will see. That is making things very hot, but I think that held. Yeah, that's holding. Okay, cool. Well, that did put an uncomfortable amount of heat into the battery. We'll have to see if it still works. First test, do we have voltage? Yes, we do. And for a 1.2 volt battery, that is a good voltage. That's the factory pre-charge on it. And manipulating this doesn't knock the pins off, so we're about 60% there. We'll slide this cap back over the end there. I don't know that it's mandatory, but it makes it look a little bit more professional, maybe. A little bit more like it belongs there. Although that's a difficult one to get on there too. It's been a while since I put a little rubber cap over the tip of anything. Well, there. I think that's as good as it gets. Let's see if it fits in here now. Which end is which? Oh yeah, right. That end is that. So this just slots into this little metal bit here, which is fallen into a spot, and a little metal bit at that end. Yeah, that's got little slots in the plastic that it goes into, but there isn't room for my fingers and this thing in there all at the same time. Oh, there we go, I think. Yes. Okay, and this is the charging pin here, which when you put it onto the charger, it pushes up against that and connects to that side of the battery. Okay. So I think that's how it works. So now then, that goes into there, and this goes into here. By Jove, I think we've got it. What happens if we do this? Ha-ha! It works! Oh, that is excellent. Now all I have to do is put it back together. And those wires slide up into there so that this boot can come back down onto here. So now that slides down into here in that orientation. What holds it? Nothing really, until it gets down to the bottom. And then those pins, yeah, those pins come through there. Somehow, we've got to get that to line up with those holes way deep down in there. Okay, how does that work? Can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to fiddle with this a little bit more, but basically that's got to slide all the way into there until those pins come through the bottom. There. It turns out this wasn't actually necessary at all, and it was causing things to be shifted in there and not in the correct orientation. So, do we still work? Yes. Okay. We'll drop these two screws down those holes. Where did it go? There it is. And start putting this thing back together. User repairability. Well, they say it shouldn't be done. It can be done, but it's a bit of a pain. This thing is not really designed for repairability, even though the manual does show how it can be taken apart. Now then, this piece screws back on. Oh wait, no. That piece clips back on. There, like that. Okay, that's just cosmetic. But then this piece with the switch on it goes back in, and that screws on there somehow. Oh, that goes into those two holes there. Okay, and then it somehow it grabs onto this. I'm not entirely certain how that happens. There we go. Right. Now what do we need? Phillips again. We're getting closer. My confidence is rising. Let's use this one. There was a little bit of grease inside the case here, which has got onto my fingers, so I'm going to use the grippier handled screwdriver. Tighten those two screws on. And I'm going to kind of push those two wires down into the bottom there, which is where they live, so that I can get that boot back on, if I can. Although I may not be able to. I'm not sure how much waterproofing that boot really provides, but if I can, I might as well do it. I don't know that my wife plans to use this thing in the shower anyway, so maybe the waterproofing isn't as crucial. Yeah, those really don't want to go back down there. Fine, they don't have to. At least I don't think they do. How does this go in here? I really should have been paying more attention to what I was doing and less attention to talking to you guys. We'll get that piece back in there, and then, oh come on, I almost had it. And this piece goes in there and it clamps that wire down into place. Unfortunately, multiple things have to be in the same space simultaneously, which is a little bit frustrating here. I'm sure there's an easy way to do this. I don't know what it is. Okay, that's all like that, except for now I got to get that spring back into its place, which is, you can see it there, it needs to come this way and go on for a little post there. Good. I think that's holding it in place. That's spring loaded and it's not going anywhere. And those, I'm going to have to mess around a little bit more. Something's not quite in place, but that's essentially how it goes, and then the screws go back in there. One moment, please. Okay, I think I've got it. I think I've got it now. That spring was just not quite in the right spot, but I think I've got it. And where's the last screw? Uh-oh. Anybody see an extra screw lying around here? There's the covers for it. Oh, there it is. Huh. It's always the fear is that you have one screw missing. You just can't find it in the carnage on the workbench, but I got it. All back together. Put the little decorative caps back on, and it's as if we were never here, except for now it works. Yahoo! My wife's gonna be happy. Thanks for coming along on that little repair journey. I appreciate it. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not, but here is our culprit. This little Panasonic branded 1100 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery, which was replaced with another Panasonic branded nickel metal hydride battery, also 1100 milliamp hours. This one found in a pair at the dollar store. Successful repair. Well, thanks for watching. Appreciate that. Questions and comments down below as usual. I'll talk to you later.